There was once a time when the sky over our lands belonged to Perun. When a storm approached, people did not hide in huts with fear. They went outside, lifted their faces to the dark clouds, and whispered with respect mixed with trembling, "Perun is coming! Perun strikes!" Thunder was not a punishment. It was a sign that the supreme God was watching, that the order of the world still existed, that justice, though harsh, was possible. And then the gods departed. They did not die. They did not evaporate like mist in the morning. They were expelled, betrayed. They were thrown from altars. Sacred oaks were cut down. Statues were burned, and their names were turned into curses or forgotten. How did this happen? Who had so much courage, or rather insolence, to expel the gods who for hundreds of generations guarded the Slavic lands, forests, rivers, and the hearts of people? This was not a single battle. It was not one king or one pope. It was a long, patient, cruel, and very well thought-out operation. An operation in which faith became a tool of power, and the old gods, an obstacle on the way to absolute control. This story is painful, but it is also beautiful, because it shows that the gods never really left. They hid, they waited, and perhaps right now they are beginning to return. Long ago, before Christianity reached the Vistula, Oder, Dnieper, and Volga, the world of the Slavs was full of gods. Not one, omnipotent, sitting somewhere high up and judging from above. There were many of them. Each had their place, their task, their power. Perun ruled over the sky. His voice was thunder, his weapon the axe and lightning. It was he who made sure that the order of the world did not collapse. It was he who punished perjurers and protected warriors. It was he who gave rain when the earth burned from drought. Veles ruled what is under the ground: waters, roots, magic knowledge, and wealth. He was the brother and at the same time the eternal opponent of Perun. Their struggle was not a battle between good and evil. It was a struggle for balance. Without Perun, the world would plunge into chaos. Without Veles, into a dead, soulless order. Mokosh wove the destinies of people. Svarog forged the stars and the sun. Dashbog bestowed light. Jarovit woke up the spring. Marzana saw the world off into its winter sleep. Lishi guarded the forests. Domovic looked after the hearth. Rusalkas sang over the rivers. The gods were not distant. They lived among the people. In old oaks, in springs, in stones, in the fire on the hearth. The Slavs did not believe in gods the way people believe in religion today. They lived with them. They offered them sacrifices, talked, asked for advice, cursed when they were angry with them. It was a world full of sacrum. A world in which nature was not just a resource, but a sanctity. The first Christian missions reached the Slavs as early as the 9th century, but a real breakthrough occurred only when the rulers saw in the new religion a chance to strengthen their position. The biggest blow came in the year in which Vladimir the Great decided to baptize Kievan Rus. It was not a decision dictated by a sudden spiritual enlightenment. It was cold, political calculation. He wanted an alliance with powerful Byzantium. He wanted a single centralized state. He wanted a tool that would allow him to control vast pagan tribes. The statue of Perun, which stood proudly on the hill, was pulled down. It was beaten with sticks. It was dragged through the streets. It was thrown into the river. People cried. Some tried to save it. Others watched in silence, feeling that something irreversible was just happening. It was the beginning of the end. The methods of expelling the gods were brutal and systemic. Christianization did not take place only through sermons and baptisms. It was brutal and systemic. For hundreds of years, the old gods were spoken of in whispers. By day, Misa y Patsies. By night, stories by the fire, herbs gathered at the right time, divinations, rites performed in secret. Grandmothers healed in the old ways. Grandfathers told stories of Perun and Veles, only changing names. The church fought it fiercely. Synods were issued. Pagan superstitions were forbidden. Books and manuscripts were burned. But folk faith was stronger than bishops' edicts. Troops were sent to Rus, which destroyed temples, cut down sacred groves, and killed priests. In the lands of today's Poland and Czechia, churches were built exactly in the places of former pagan holy sites, on hills, by springs, in oak forests. Symbolically and literally, the new god was to triumph on the ruins of the old one. The people resisted for a long time. For several hundred years after the official baptism, the old gods were still worshipped in secret in many homes. This phenomenon was later called Rodnovery, double faith. Officially Christian at home, pagan. Priests and princes fought this fiercely. Rites were forbidden, sacred statues were burned, sacrificing was punished by death. And yet the old beliefs survived, in songs, in harvest rites, in night rituals, in stories told to children, in curses. Perun became Saint Elias, the master of thunder and the heavens. Veles was transformed into the devil, and Mokosh became the mother of God. Rusalkas became demons or beautiful maidens from the forest. The gods were not forgotten, they were disguised. No one person can be blamed. It was a whole system. Princes and kings wanted absolute power. The church wanted souls and tithes. Empires, Byzantium and the Holy Roman Empire, wanted influence and allies. Local lords saw a chance for wealth and promotion. However, the Slavic elites themselves committed the greatest betrayal. It was they who sold the gods of their ancestors for a throne, gold, and an alliance with foreign powers. It was they who first ordered the statues of Perun to be beaten. The people never fully accepted the new faith. As late as the 11th and 12th centuries, pagan uprisings occurred. People returned to old rites whenever power weakened. But the strength of the state and the church was too great. For centuries, the old gods were spoken of in whispers. By day, the cross and prayer. By night, stories by the fire, herbs, divination, sacrifices left under the oaks. The gods became part of folklore. Perun, thunder, and a curse. Veles, a black devil, but also a guardian of treasures and magic. Leshi, a forest spirit who is better not to be annoyed. Domowik, a household spirit who must be respected. They were pushed underground, but they never died. Today, in times of great confusion, people are beginning to hear them again. Rodnovery is growing. People build statues of Perun, organize rites, study old texts, sing songs in which the names of the old gods sound. It is not a mass movement, but it is authentic. People seek roots, they seek strength, they seek meaning in a world that seems increasingly alien. Perhaps that is why the gods are beginning to return, because the world once again needs their thunder, their balance, their harsh but fair justice. Many elements of the old religion have survived in the rites we know today. Kupala night, the old festival of the sun and love, harvest festival, Thanksgiving for the crops, drowning of Marzana, a symbolic farewell to winter, Easter Monday, old spring rituals. All this is an echo of the times when the gods walked among the people. The old faith gave people freedom. Freedom to contact the gods directly, without intermediaries. Freedom to live in harmony with nature and ancestors. Freedom in which the prince was not an absolute master because Perun stood over him, and beside him, the assembly and priests. The new faith gave rulers what they desired most: a monopoly on truth, a steady income, a tool of control over people, and legitimization of power. It was a revolution, the greatest systemic change in the history of the Slavs. The Slavic elites made a choice. They chose power and gold instead of loyalty to their ancestors. It was a betrayal on a huge scale. Despite everything, the gods survived. They waited for the moment when their nations would again need strength, honor, and truth. Perhaps that moment is coming.